Hey guys, we're back in the camera for another episode. If you see some of these where I'm just talking to the camera, you don't have to watch. Nothing is going to happen on the screen. This is more of a listen to it while you're driving, that sort of thing. I like making these videos for people that like hearing stuff about the fishing world and need something to listen to. I listen to stuff like this all the time. It's kind of just more like a podcast. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about something in the tournament world that has been affecting it truthfully to me, in a bad way for a while now, and it's affecting payouts. It's hurting everything as a whole. So, what I'm talking about is tournament coverage, and the way we go about it, and the reason that they're going about it in the way that they are is what we're going to really talk about. So, live coverage in tournaments. It's awesome. Was awesome. It's not really so awesome anymore. It's like watching grass grow. If you go back, if you're not familiar with tournaments years ago, now they were the coverage was like an hour maybe of the entire day. An entire tournament would be maybe a couple episodes, but the tournament coverage was short. It was just the highlights of the day. It was interesting to watch. They had a storyline, that sort of thing. Nowadays, it's 8 hours of watching a guy the majority of the time not catch, because even the guys that are winning these bass tournaments aren't necessarily catching a lot of fish. A lot of these tournaments, it's maybe 5 bites a day, and you just can't. And each catch might be like 10 seconds, so you can't fill a lot of time with that. And so on top of that, these tournament organizations are having to pay announcers to sit in a booth, or they're using, a lot of them now are using tournament anglers to sit in the booth and do interviews for the entire day, while people try to entertain themselves waiting on a guy to catch a fish again. But they do this because it looks good to sponsors. For them, it's totally, they're trying to pull money into the tournament organization, and it's hurting everything so bad as a whole, because they go, we have these viewers not maybe retaining maybe on paper, but the people that are watching the live have it playing in the background. They're not sitting there watching it, so they're selling it to these advertisers as that they have all these people retained for like 8 hours a day. And that's why MLF is okay with splitting their tournament over like 6 days or 8 days, however many days it is of live. And they're using it, trying to use it as a way to make more money. But the problem is, when they do land somebody that pays them that money, they're getting nothing back. The advertisement is fairy dust. There's there's no actual benefit coming to these people that are sponsoring the tournaments. So in turn, the tournament organizations aren't getting good money from these people for these commercials and stuff that they run, or as good as they could. I'm sure they're getting pretty decent money, but that's what I mean, is that it's hurting everything as a whole. What tournament coverage used to be like maybe an hour where there was a storyline, and they covered kind of everything that happened through the day, and it was a show. But now we have this live coverage that, again, looks good on paper and is cool at times, but it's hurting everything. These people that they're having cover the tournaments for that entire time don't need to be there that entire time. So there's money going places. There's so much extra overhead money going into it that in turn is costing everybody money. So truthfully, that's probably why you're seeing that we don't, well, it is why you see that we don't have non-endemic people sponsoring these tournament organizations anymore, and why we'll probably see less and less people wanting to put their money there when they're not getting anything in return. If we had a really good TV show like they used to have that aired for an hour, it's way more valuable and is going to retain real viewers, not just people with their live coverage idling on their computer while they work all day. That's where you're really going to get money, and until we figure that out, it's going to probably just get worse and worse, truthfully. I don't know how to fix it other than to just go back, and I feel like it's almost looked at as that's going in reverse, and that's a bad thing. If we cut out live coverage, we're just going back to the old ways of it. But you look at what people talk about live scope. It's not necessarily that live scope is boring. It's that they're bored with the live coverage. Tournaments always used to be boring if we watched them on live all day with 2D. It doesn't matter what you put. If somebody's watching you, if somebody's fishing offshore on Kentucky Lake, that's boring to watch. But they used to be okay with people doing it all the time, and you never heard anybody saying that it was boring to watch them stare off in the distance and fish or look down or wherever they're looking. The boredom is coming from the hours and hours and hours and hours that we're spending watching people not catch a fish. There's just not, you'll never be able to continuously have action watching people fish for 8 hours. There's no fishery you can go to ever that it's going to be that good. Just putting a camera on a boat live coverage is never going to be where the money is at when it comes to getting sponsors, retain and getting more money pulled into the organizations. So that's kind of the part that we're stuck at right now, and hopefully it gets corrected at some point, or we're just going to kind of keep swirling down the drain for eternity